I should've just stayed home. That's what Sarah told me before I left, and now her words echo in my mind as I stare at my leg, twisted in a way that makes my stomach churn. The bone hasn't punctured the skin, but the pain is unbearable. I let out a scream into the cold November air, my voice cutting through the silence of the empty Wisconsin woods. The sun is already sinking, and the temperature is plummeting. My breath hangs in the air, small, desperate clouds drifting into the darkening sky. The vast expanse of the Chikrugum, Nicolet Neshura surrounds me, its towering pines groaning in the wind. Normally, these woods feel like home. I know every trail, I've reached every seasonal creek. But now, with shadows stretching long and my leg throbbing in agony, the once familiar terrain feels foreign, even menacing. 22 years a firefighter in this how it ends, sipping on a patch of wet leaves like some clueless rookie. The irony would almost be funny. If I weren't so terrified, I forced myself to focus, pushing past the pain. We were trained for emergencies like this, though I'm usually the one doing the rescuing. Stay calm, assess the situation, and execute. My rifle landed about 10 feet long. I fell, lying there just out of reach, mocking me. My pack, at least, is closer, thank God, and managed to drag her without shifting my head too much, but even that small movement sends a fresh surge of agony shooting up my thigh. Damn it, I growl. The curse is rough. Reprinder grounds keeps me sharp, but I need more than just anger. I need shelter before darkness swallows the forest. I need a fire. I need a way to signal for help. Sarah will bull for someone I don't make it tonight, but these hunting grounds are vast. And I strayed farther from my usual path today, lured by what I thought was the buck I'd ever seen. Stupid. A rookie mistake from someone who's been hunting these woods since he was 12. Dad used to bring me out here every season, teaching me how to track, how to move without a sound, how to respect the land. The woods give life, he'd always say, but they can take it just as easily. And right now I'm afraid they just might. I never truly understood what he meant until now. It's funny how everything sharpens, harities when you're staring death in the face. I pull out my phone. No signal. Of course, these hills have always been a dead zone. My emergency beacon is in the truck 2 miles away. Fat lot of good it does me there. The light is fading fast, and the wind is picking up, cutting straight through my jacket. The temperature must already be in the low 30s. The forecast had promised clear skies, but heavy clouds are rolling in from the north, thick and sullen with the weight of oncoming snow. The air carries that unmistakable pre-storm pressure, and the sight of those bruised looking clouds me one thing: I'm in for a long, bitter night. If the snow starts falling, any tracks I might leave for rescues will be buried. The thought tightens in my chuck of ice, but had puzzling start pulling supplies from my pack. Emergency blanket, first aid kit, fire starter, paracord, and list of kindred. And I hear it, a sound, low, distant, muffled. You spend enough time in the woods, and you learn its rhythm. The whisper of wind through the trees, the crunch of leaves underfoot, the occasional snapper from a passing deer or raccoon, the faint flutter of a squirrel darting up a tree. But this is different. It's heavy, dragging, it's getting closer. My hands tremble as I reach for the hunting knife on my belt. Then, silence. The kind of silence that isn't normal. No wind, no rustling, no birds, no squirting. Just me and the unnatural stillness pressing in from all sides. I've hunted these woods for years. I've seen bears, wolvesy in a mountain lion too. This, different. The silence stretches, thick and suffocating. The only sound is my own ragged breathing. Then the smell hits me. Wet furding meat, my stomach touches, because this smell, I know this smell. I encountered it once during a hazmat call at the fire station. Something synthetic, wrong. A scent that doesn't belong in nature. Just breathe and makes my nose burn. I need to get this fire started now. My hands shake as I fumble with my fire starter. Pulling some chugging sound comes again. Closer, this time off to my right. I force myself to focus. Shelter. Fire. Survival. 20 years ago, I was a different man. Fresh out of school, I enlisted in the Marines. 4 years of service, including a tour in Afghanistan, taught me how to stay alive in bad situations. After that, the fire department like a natural fit. Another way to help people, to make a difference. The tinder catches. I feed the flames, starting with small twigs, and larger grows, pushing back the creeping darkness. Sarah always hated when I went hunting alone. "You're not as young as you used to be, Jack," she reminded me this morning. But Mike, my usual hunting partner, was stuck at home with the flu. And I'd been looking forward to this trip for months. The first weekend of deer season in Wisson the Sacred. Now the fire is hot, crackling steadily. I grab my knife and cut branches from a nearby pine, dragging O to build a makeshift shelter. The process is slow and awkward, forcing me to stay in one spot. And I manage to put together a ravelin too, enough to block some wind and reflect the fire's warmth. Then the dragging sound comes again. This time from behind me, repulse pounds in my ears. I call out, forcing my voice to stay steady. No response, just silence. That awful, unnatural silence. I pull the emergency blanket around my eyes and check my watch. 5:47 p.m., another 12 hours until dawn. The pain in my leg has settled into a dull, constant throb, and the meter set it, or at least stabilize it better than it is now. The first aid kit has an elastic bandage and basic splint materials. I set broken bows before in the field and combat as a firefighter, but doing it to yourself, that's another story entirely. I bite down on a piece of mood and brace myself. Then I do it. A scream rips from my throat as I force the bone back into place. White, hot agony flooding every nerve. The world dims at the edges of my vision, bile rising in my throat. For a moment, I think I might black out, but somehow I stay conscious. My hands move on instinct, wrapping the splint tight, securing the bandage. The pain is blinding, but it's done, and that's when I hear the growl. Low, subsonic. More felt than heard. Nothing these woods makes a sound like that. Hell, nothing I've ever heard makes a sound like that. My hunting knife feels useless in my grip. A flimsy piece of metal is out there. Rifle. So close, yet completely unreachable. Might as well be sitting on the moon. And the smell, God, the smell is unbearable now. Rotting meat. It makes my eyes sting, my stomach churn. Something moves just beyond the firelight. Something big. I toss more wood into the fire, feeding this high, watching the flickering shadows twist against the trees. My mind drifts. Sarah, we met 12 years ago, when she came into the firehouse to report a gas leak in her apartment building. I was the one who took her statement. Something about her just clicked with me. 3 months later, we were married at the course, Mike standing as my best man. She must be worried sick by now. I always call when I head back to the truck, and it's long past dark. But my phone, a Yusuf brick in my growl, closer. I hear breathing now, heavy wet. It's circling the fire. Come on then. I yell, fear and pain sharpening into reps. The breathing stops. Silence crashes down, broken only by the crackling fire. Then, movement just on the edges of my vision, a flowing shape, something that doesn't walk but glides, like oil sliding across water. But when I snap my head to goon, the minutes drag into hours. I keep the fire fed, my knife gripped tight, my eyes scanning the darkness, waiting. The darkness feels alive. Every so often, the dragging sound, the heavy breathing. Once I even catch the scrape of claws against bark. But whatever it is, it stays just outside the fire's glow. Watching, I try to reason through it. A bear would have revealed itself by now, either lured by curiosity or scared off by the flames. Wolves hunt in packs, but they don't behave. Lions, they're ambush predators. Either they strike or they don't. None of this makes sense. I watch Rid's saith and shutters the night, but first it sounds human, but then it changes. The sound twists, warps into something wrong, something that makes my mind recoil, as if it's trying to skid my skull. It's close. I slash at the darkness with my knife, heart pounding, but there's nothing there. The fire is dying, more wood, but reaching into that darkness, into its domain, feels like the worst mistake I could make. And that's what it wants to move away from a fire. I think of Sarah again. Our argument this morning. You're too old to be playing mountain man, Jack. You've got nothing less to prove. That's not why I came out here. I came because these woods have always been my place. Out here, I know who I am. At least, I thought I did. No, with the thing circling just beyond the firelight. With a broken leg, a dwindling fire, and the cold settling deep into my bones. I'm not so sure anymore. The pain in my leg throbs in sync with heartbeat, a relentless, pulsing reminder of how bad this situation is. I dig through my pack for ibuprofen, but it barely dulls the edge. The cold isn't helping either. The temperature has dropped below freezing, and even with the fire and my emergency blanket, I can't stop shivering. And then, something moves. To my left, I spin again, there's nothing. Just shadows, trees, and that smell. "What the hell are you?" I whisper. The answer comes as another scream. This one is farther away but no less terrifying. It's coming from the direction of my truck. Is it warning others away? Or is it just playing with me? I check my watch, and 3:47 AM. The fire needs more wood. There's a small pile within arm's reach, but it won't last until dawn. If I want to keep the fire going, I'll have to move. To reach into the dark. The thought makes my mouth go dry. I grab a branch, hung it out like a torch. The extra light doesn't help. It only makes the shadows dance more wildly, twisting and shifting, playing tricks on my eyes. Then, the dragging sound comes again. Right at the edge of the firelight, I swing the torch toward it, and just for a second, a sheep, a form that my brain refuses to conquer it. And then, gone. Only the afterimage remains, burned into my vision, dark and wrong. My hands shake as I throw more wood onto the fire. My leg is screaming from the movement, the pain sharp and relentless, but I don't have time to focus on it. Not when that thing is still out there waiting. Then another sound. A low, deliberate noise. It's taunting me. It's playing with me, like a cat toying with a mouse. An hour's crawl by thing, exhaustion takes over, and I drift off in short, uneasy bursts. Each time I jerk awake, heart pounding, I expect to see it standing over me, something too human, silhouetted against the dying fire. But there's nothing, just flickering flames, endless shadows, and that ever-present comes slowly. First, the eastern sky lightens, barely perceptible. Then, color bleeds back into the world, and as the light strengthens, the presence in the darkness fades, the dragging sound moves further away. The heavy breathing recedes, even the smell disappears. By the time the sun breaks through the trees unalone, my leg is swollen, hot to the touch. Infection is a real risk, and I need medical attention soon. But I'm alive, and make it through the night. I hear shouting in the distance, search parties. Maybe, or maybe something else. But Sarah would have called for help when I didn't come home. Someone must have come looking. I yell, my voice raw and broken, I'm over here. The voices draw closer. I hear dogs barking, the crunch of boots and follow leaf in. Mike's voice, loud and urgent. Jack, 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 can you hear me? I'm here. I call back, relief and exhaustion hitting me once. They find me a few minutes later. Mike, 2 sheriff's deputies, and a search and rescue team. Their faces are tight with concern. Their questions immediate. What happened? Why did I stray so far from my usual hunting grounds? And what the hell were those strange tracks they found around my truck? And don't tell about the thing in the darkness, or the screams, or the smell, or the shape I glimpsed in the firelight. They wouldn't believe me anyway, as they load me onto a stretcher and means, in his voice low, "You all right, brother? Christ, you look like you've seen a damn ghost." I manage a weak smile. Just a rough, that's all. But as they carry me out of the woods, I feel it. Something is watching, and I know, with a certainty that chills me more than cold ever could, that I will never step foot in these woods again. I think too. Sarah is waiting at the hospital when they bring me in. She doesn't say I told you so. She just takes my hand and holds it while doctors set my leg and pump me full of fluids. Later, when we're alone, she asks, what really happened out there? For a moment, I consider telling her everything. The presence in the darkness, the sounds, the smell, the sheer, gut-wrenching terror of the night I just survived, and of the harsh fluorescent hospital lights. It all seems unreal, like a nightmare already slipping from memory. I got careless, I say. I fell, I say instead. It's lucky the search party found me before things got worse. Sarah doesn't argue, but I can tell she doesn't believe me. 12 years of marriage, she knows when I'm holding something tight, but she doesn't push. That night, as I drift off under the haze of painkillers, I almost hear it again. And just for a moment, just at the edge of sleep. And I know, it's still out there, waiting, lurking in the darkness of those woods, biding its time till Netu strays too far. The next one who thinks they know the forest better than they really do. It's out there, waiting, ready to play its little cat and mouse game again.